Welcome to Postcards to the Universe with Melisa Caprio. Do you believe in magic? What if you were told that all you had to do was get a little creative and work a magic spell to bring anything you can imagine into your life? Here on Postcards to the Universe, we will share manifesting, tips, postcards, creativity, abundance, and prosperity. Here is your host, Melisa Caprio.
Hello and welcome to Postcards to the Universe with Melisa, creating the life you crave. It's Wednesday, my favorite day of the week. I love doing this show. How is everybody doing? I hope you guys are doing well. I'm doing well. Lots of craziness. Things are moving a lot quicker than they have been the last couple of years. So I don't know. On some ways that's a good thing, and then on others it's like, whoa, slow down. Got a lot going on at once. And today I have a really cool guest, psychic medium Matthew Stapley. He's my guest, and you're going to meet Matthew in just a few minutes. For those of you who are new tuning into my show for the first time, thank you, and I welcome you for being here. And for those of you who listen to me on a regular basis, thank you so much for coming back and listening again. I'm so happy that you like my show. Okay, so for those of you who do not know, not only am I a radio host, I am also a photographer and an author, and I have a book, and it's titled Postcards to the Universe, Harness the Universe's Power and Manifest Your Dreams. And in the book, there are 30 manifesting stories, along with photographs that I took of the contributors manifesting postcards. And I include writing exercises that helps us get clear on what we want to manifest, and a toolbox full of fun exercises on how to bring in love, money, health, career, and much more. And of the stories, you'll see how the people who contributed, their manifesting story became their reality. So if you're interested in doing some inner work exercises, creating a manifesting postcard, and reading people's incredible journeys of transformation, inspiration, and manifesting, please go to your favorite bookstore and purchase a copy. I also do a thing each week that I call a magical message that I post on Mondays, and it's an image of a manifesting postcard that I photograph with an affirmation, and I like to focus on the affirmation for the week. I find using affirmations daily is a powerful way for it to become a new belief in our lives. And this week's magical message is, I love my dreams. So I have a question I want you to ask yourself. Do you have dreams for your life? And if you do you love your dreams? So many of us have been kicked around and hurt so much that we don't even allow ourselves to dream, let alone love our dreams. If your dream is just making enough money to pay your bills, that isn't the kind of dreams I'm talking about. Because when you're in that space, you're focused on lack and worry. You're not focused on abundance and what could be possible for your life. What if you always wanted to write a book? Can you see yourself doing that? Or what if you always wanted to live by the ocean? Can you imagine yourself moving to your dream location? Sometimes we don't allow ourselves to dream because we're so afraid we won't get them. And we don't want to have false hope. But what happens is if we don't allow ourselves to dream, that is exactly what will happen. It won't happen. Dreaming is part of manifesting. Imagining yourself doing what you always wanted to do sends strong messages to the universe that you want something. And the universe's job is to get it to you. What we end up doing is we end up blocking it from coming because we think we either don't deserve it or deep down we'll never believe that it could happen for us. So we have to stop doing that immediately. I'm going to ask you to take a piece of paper and write down one dream that you would love to manifest in your life. And under it, I want you to write all the ways that it is possible. Only write down what is possible. If a negative thought comes up, acknowledge it and tell it to go away. That isn't what you're doing. You don't need to know how it can happen, only that it's possible that it can happen. And also, I want you to write down how you will feel when this dream comes true for you. That is where you're going to continue to bring your attention. Anytime you think of what you want, how you will feel when you have it. That's what I want you to focus on. You don't have to do this right now during the show, but just at some point when you have some time and it can be quiet and you're not going to be bothered. Now, the next thing I'm going to suggest is for you to make a manifesting postcard around it and send it to me. I describe how to make manifesting postcards on my website, postcardstotheuniverse.com. And if you sign up for the newsletter, I will send you a free gift on manifestation. Reach out if you need help. I am always available. And to see these magical messages that I post each week, you can find them across any of my social media platforms, Postcards to the Universe, and my website. And if you happen to be on Facebook and are looking to join a fun, uplifting group, you can find me on my public Facebook group, Postcards of Love. Okay, so next week I have my returning guest, Reverend Gregory Passman, who is a psychic trance channel. And Gregory channels over 40 light beings, including Sananda, Archangels Michael, Raphael, and Gabriel, as well as master teacher spirits. And Gregory's been a regular on my show. He comes on maybe once every 6 weeks. And when I spoke to him yesterday, he told me that Archangel Michael wants to join us, and he wants to talk about the state of the planet, COVID developments, and the progression or regression of humanity. So that's going to be really interesting. So join me next week for that. All right, to get to my amazing guest today. Matthew Stapley is a naturally gifted full sensory psychic medium, public speaker, minister, and teacher serving people and communities worldwide. His drive for his drive for helping others led him to the creation of the Psychic Experience, Heaven Knows, What the Shift, and several other projects that have helped many thousands of people worldwide. Matthew currently teaches classes in mediumship, psychic development, and healing, provides private one-on-one and group sessions, free readings, and messages from Spirit weekly on social media, and appears frequently as a guest on various media, like mine, and social media platforms. And you can look up Matthew as you're listening to the show on his website to see more about him at MatthewStapley.com. That's Matthew, MatthewStapley.com. Welcome, Matthew. Thanks for joining me today.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm actually really excited to be here. I've been looking forward to this since we booked it.
Oh, good. Me too. Okay. So first, how are you doing? Good? How are things in your life?
You know
Good?
what? Not too bad, thank you. Yeah, I mean, the world has been crazy for, the last 150 years, but doing well. How are you doing?
I'm doing pretty good. Yeah, I'm doing pretty good. Like I said earlier, I feel the energy is definitely shifted and is moving a lot faster. So like I said, it's a good thing. So. It's a good thing overall, but it's giving me a little anxiety because I have so much I have to do.
Well,
right?
You know what? If anyone can get it all done, Melissa, it's you. So I'm not worried.
Thank you. So why don't you share a little bit about you and how you got into the work that you're doing today?
Sure. I mean, really, the spirit world just started harassing me from a very young age. But I mean, I guess that kind of makes it sound sketchy. Really, it did start when I was quite young, with seeing spirit and having psychic experiences and things like that. I think the first one that I really remember was when my father was traveling in Thailand, and I was not far from where I live now. I was in Carlton Place, where I grew up here in Canada. And I saw the room he was sitting in over the phone when I was talking to him, and I started describing it, and it generally freaked him out. I mean, it was not something that was on his radar, or was like a remote viewing child.
Right.
But that was the first big experience, and then more and more just kind of kept happening. And then as I got older, I started seeing auras around people and being able to interpret their colors. And then it just sort of became my life work, because people started offering me money to go and do readings for them. And then they told everybody. And then my parents' phone was ringing off the hook all the time when I was a teenager for people coming from around Eastern Ontario for readings. And it just kind of kept going.
Wow. So you were super young when this really started for you. Yeah, that's amazing. That's really cool to be doing that work as a teenager, because most teenagers really just want to hang out with their friends and they don't want to be bothered. So that's pretty
Yeah,
cool.
it's true. I was a little odd. Like I was somewhere between Oprah and Wednesday Addams as a teenager. So
I love
somewhere,
that.
somewhere in between, maybe with a little Mister Rogers and Dennis the Menace thrown in there as well. But I
Oh
was a
my
little
God, that's
strange.
a really good description. That's a good description. So you mentioned
Thank you.
something about seeing auras. So for people who are like, what are they talking about? What does that mean? Can you share a little bit about what is our aura?
Sure, I'd love to. So the aura has probably different definitions depending on which teacher or hippie or spiritualist or psychic or medium you go to. But generally, overall, it's the diffusion of energy off of a living being. So whether it be a person, an animal, a tree, a blade of grass, it's the diffusion of that energy. And within the auric field, there's various layers. And so, for example, we have like the auric part, or the part of our auric field that's our physical body. So within that, if someone can look at an aura, they can see what's happening in somebody's physical body, whether it's flowing properly or not. And then we have the mental and emotional fields. We have a desire field and a fear field. We have a spiritual energy field as well. And it really is just kind of like an extension of who we are in the subtle energies. And I've always thought that they were really cool. And sometimes there's aspects of somebody's aura that has colors that stay there for a very long time, and other colors change by the minute. So it is it's a very bright world we live in for those of us who can see auras.
I can imagine. So I imagine then that you can see like the difference between, like, say, a newborn baby who's born healthy and, in love, and their little aura, compared to somebody who maybe is going through a major health crisis. Like, you could see like a significant difference, right? Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I remember the first time that ever happened to me, actually. I was in a pet food store, and the lady who worked there, she asked me for an aura reading because I guess she had heard that I had done those. And so I did an aura reading, and I remember saying, like, your kidney is in trouble. Do you have kidney problems? And she said, no problems. Anyway, I found out a while later that after that, she went to her doctor and she had her kidneys examined, and they were messed up. Like, at least one of them, she said, was like on the verge of not working anymore. And she wrote me years later to thank me for that, because had it not come through in the aura reading, she never would have known to even, think about it twice. And that was the first time I ever saw illness in somebody's aura.
Yeah, because if she's not having any symptoms, why would she even think of anything, right? She's not feeling anything yet. So she's probably like, no, what are you talking about? My kidneys are fine. No, that's really, really interesting. So when something is off, let's use this woman as an example, what did it look like? Like, how does it show up for you? How do you see it?
Sure, yeah. So depending on the type of illness, it can be different. So, for example, with something that's like a lot of inflammation, it will show up as this sort of deep red color. But for something that is, let's say, like an intestinal blockage, that might show up more as like a lack of energy. So there might just be this sort of shadowy dark spot. And then from when I see the color to how I interpret it, I kind of take a moment and I begin to feel it in my own body. And because my educational background is all medical, I have like a decent working knowledge of anatomy and physiology and pathophysiology, so I can feel what kind of an illness is actually at play. And sometimes it's very specific, and sometimes it's a little bit more general. But yeah, that's basically what it looks like and feels like.
Oh, that's so cool. It reminds me a little bit of what Carolyn Mace does. She doesn't talk about it as auras, but she's a medical intuitive, and she can sense what's going on in somebody's body. She gets like a hit somehow, Yeah. That's really, really interesting. So, God, do you have to like turn it off? Similar. Do you have to like turn it off when you're going about your day? Because I imagine, like, if you're going to like, TJ Maxx or Target or whatever, the grocery store, you would get bombarded by people's auras coming at you.
Yeah, very, very much so. And there's a difference between sensing energy and then receiving information. So a lot of people who are naturally gifted, like basically born with it, I believe that everybody's gifted, first of all, but for those of us with it like switched on in our awareness in a usable way, we oftentimes will feel energy, but we can turn off the information side of it. So we might feel something, but we're not receiving anything about it, because the information side of it is the part that usually overwhelms mediums and psychics, as they get messages and they get feelings and empathic connections and all of that. And so I can turn off the information side of it, but I almost always am feeling some kind of energy flow for sure.
So interesting. So now if somebody comes to you for a reading, and you sense, well, this could just be in general. It doesn't even have to be somebody who comes to you for a reading. Can you sort of feel or see right away if somebody is a very, I don't want to say a bad person, because that's not really what I mean, but somebody's like a negative person.
Somebody who's lived.
Yeah, somebody maybe who hasn't done like really good choice, hasn't made good choices in their life, that like as your friend, you wouldn't want them in your friendship circle, like I hate to say anybody's bad, but of course,
I
some
know what you
people.
mean though, for sure.
So can you like see that coming a mile away or feel that like right away?
I can, as long as that information side is switched on, yes. And the reason I say that is, man, have I been wrong when it's been my own personal thoughts and judgment. Like, whoa, the universe is not afraid to teach me a lesson in being judgmental. I will tell you that. So yeah, as long as I'm looking for it, I can. And you know what it shows up as a lot of the time? It shows up as pain. Not physical pain, but mental, emotional pain. And it was actually in seeing things like that as well, where I realized, when people are jerks, it's often because they're in some level of pain, whether it's conscious or repressed or whatever, it's still there. And all the people that I've met who maybe haven't lived the cleanest lives or that made the best choices, as you said, that pain energy is very prominent in their energy field. So I think it speaks a lot to why people do what they do. I don't think anyone's born a jerk. I think I think we become that way.
I agree.
We become that way.
Well, we're at the first break, so when we come back, do you mind doing a little example? You can do a little mini aura reading on me.
Sure.
Do you mind?
Yeah,
awesome.
I'd love to.
Okay. All right, guys, stay tuned, and we're going to be back in just 2 minutes.
Conscious media for conscious minds. OMTimes. Host your show on IOM-FM, the radio network of OMTimes Media, one of the more recognized brand names in the conscious community, and is backed by the extensive marketing reach of OMTimes. Hosting a show on IOM-FM immediately connects you with our extensive dedicated community.
Hi, I'm Melisa Caprio from Postcards to the Universe, creating the life you crave. Do you believe in magic? What if I told you all you had to do was get a little creative and work a dream spell to bring anything you can imagine into your life? Well, guess what? I've got the spell for you. Postcards to the Universe, a global movement for manifestation, is a casting magical tool for you to use whenever you want. How does living in passion sound to you? Join me in my movement where you get to create in the magical playground. Let's think outside the box and do some playful conjuring. By casting out our desires with a manifesting postcard, we explore our hearts and allow the alchemy of our dreams to appear. And don't forget to tune in each week here on OMTimes Radio with my show, Postcards to the Universe, creating the life you crave at 4 p.m. Eastern Time. I share tips on creativity, abundance, and prosperity, and you will be introduced to the coolest guests, trailblazers, mystics, and creatives who enrich our lives.
My name is Victor Furman. Some call me The Voice. I've always been fascinated with human nature, spirituality, science, and the crossroads at which they meet. Join me Wednesdays at 8 p.m. Eastern on OMTimes Radio, and we'll explore these topics and so much more on Destination Unlimited.
The rainbow is God's promise of hope for you and me. And though the clouds hang heavy and the sun we cannot see, We know above the dark clouds that fill the stormy sky, hope's rainbow will come shining through when the clouds have drifted by. Teresa Caprio is the president and founder of Rainbow Guardian Inc., a nonprofit 501c3 serving the intellectually challenged/developmentally disabled, including autism. Teresa started the foundation in 1995 so she could help make a better life for her intellectually challenged daughter. Her dream is that the Rainbow Guardian will provide the necessary tools and education to help the public understand the special needs population, because it's often discarded in mainstream society. To find out more or make a donation in support, please go to www.rainbowguardian.org. Rainbow Guardian's special mission is to see these unique people live a happy, full life and have a future of liberty and equality.
Welcome back. So if you're just joining me, I have a really great show. I have psychic medium Matthew Stapley on as my guest, and he was talking about how he can read our auras. So he's going to give a little example, and I'm going to be the guinea pig and have my aura read. So Matthew, just FYI, you can share anything that comes. I don't hide anything. Like when I have health issues or I have anything going on, I share it with the audience. So like I'm not private in that way. So if something comes up and you're like if something comes up and you're like, ooh, I don't know if I should share this because I don't know if it's private. No, they know all about my issues. So
all right. No problem. All right, ready when you are.
I'm ready. All
right, let me tune into your energy. We'll see what we get. Wow, well, you're bright. So you're welcome. So as I was stepping into your energy field, so the first thing that I could see around you in the edges of your aura, there's a few different colors that I want to talk to you about. So the first color that I could see was a lot of yellow. And yellow to me, depending on the shade of it, means something completely different. And this is kind of like a darker, slightly murky yellow. And to me, this is stagnancy. This is kind of like a feeling of non-movement. And because it's in the edges of your field, to me, it's leaving. So this is something that had been there that is now starting to lift. And so what you might have felt over the last, it looks to me like it was strongly there for 6 months, but I could even go beyond that. Like I could even go to almost 14 months of just sort of feeling like in a in-between period, a pause period. That was the first color that I saw as I stepped into your energy field. And then the second two actually, because they kind of go together, was a lot of bright, vibrant red. It's a good red, not illness red, and purple. And red to me in this shade represents somebody who's empathic and clairsentient. So this means somebody that can feel and sense other people's emotions, and they're very sensitive. But what's interesting is there was a line from this red going directly to your solar plexus, and that, as I'm sure you know, is our health and vitality and strength and willpower. And so what this is saying is that you may feel a lot of the empathic side of things, but through your physical body. You may feel it more physically than emotionally. And so with that, the message that I'm actually getting from your spirit guides is to really make sure that you've got a solid, like, shutting off for the day plan. And the reason why is on the other side of your solar plexus, I can see a bit of a leak happening. So this would cause like a drained feeling. This would be kind of like like really tired and just feeling like zonked. And they're saying that with you specifically, you get these amazing highs of energy, like these amazing bursts where you're super productive, but then when it falls off, it's like jumping off the Grand Canyon and hitting the ground. And so they're saying to stop that from happening, what you can do is make sure that you're really disconnecting at the end of your workday, because I feel like a lot of this red is coming in through your work. And I think it's a beautiful thing that you help people, but they're saying that there is a drain there. Now, this purple color I find really interesting because this is a very psychic color to me. It's always around people who are very switched on, very intuitive. And it's interesting as well because it's starting slowly to form around your throat, which to me means that you're meant to communicate what you feel and sense and perceive about people or places or things at a psychic level. And they're saying that you have been very active psychically, but you haven't gotten to where you're going to be around December of 2023. So when we get to that point, whatever your abilities are will have amped up significantly in a way where you're like using them as a very primary part of your path, which I think is really, really cool. Now, when I look at the back of your energy field, there's a few little things coming off the back of your heart. So to me, these are kind of like a bit of a red and yellow colors in there. And to me, this is old pain. This is old stuff. And a lot of it has to do with like things that happened a long time ago, like childhood things. And I can tell that based on where they are in the back of your heart chakra, the position of it to me says a lot. And so when I'm looking at this, I'm really drawn to like 10 years old and feeling like you have the weight of the world on your shoulders and that you had to be the one to take care of everybody. And then as I get a little bit older than that, I get, 12 years old, 12 and a half, and I feel like very disconnected from the world around me, but I'm still aware of some level of, like divine connection or whatever you would have perceived it as at that time. When I go into your early 20s, I get such a big, what's the word that I'm looking for? Paradox of energy. So on one hand, I can see that you are super hopeful, but on the other hand, there was a very heavy emotional heart. So all of these are little things that you're still healing that I can see in the back of your heart chakra. I don't think you have to do anything to move along this healing path. I feel like this is something that is naturally already unfolding. So you don't have to sit in it on purpose. Like that's already done. I feel like you've done that work. This is just the natural little letting it go over time. And so what might happen, the way that can show up for people is you may just get like old random thoughts and memories popping into your head and then you let them go and then it's gone. So it feels like that. Now, the other color that I can see in your energy field is a lot of orange. And this orange in its shade is very creative. Big surprise, it's you. So I would be shocked if this wasn't there. But what I see when I'm looking at it and where in the layer of your energy field that it's in, this is about new beginnings, new projects, and it's coming right after this feeling of stagnancy. And if I could put a time frame on it, I want to go right into August of this year where I see a really big idea or a big new project or something like that that will be in your focus. And it's going to come right after you have taken a break. So to me, this could be like a vacation, could be a few weeks off, could be taking some downtime for yourself. But right after that in August, I see this big explosion of ideas. And so that for you, I think is going to be amazing. And I think it could really take whatever form you want it to take. It could be another book. It could be more things like this show. It could be, other types of opportunities. But whatever that is, it's quite long lasting. Like it feels like it goes for several years. So yeah, your aura looks really good. Looks pretty awesome. The only other thing that I can tell you when I was looking at it was I saw the energy of a female energy who's, I think, alive. I don't feel like this is somebody who's passed on, but this woman has struggled a lot emotionally. I feel like she's kind of, I would say probably a little bit on the unstable side within herself, but I feel like she has this sort of very intense mask that she wears that makes it look like she's very together. And if your mom is with us on Earth, I think that's probably who it is. If not, it would be another female that you would kind of look up to generationally. And I feel that would be very good for her to learn that she can just be herself, that there's no need for her to, have to have everything 100% together all the time. Because what I worry about with her is just this drain that it's causing her to hold this intense, I have my things together, surface persona. And because her energy is in your energy field and it's this sort of put together, this is saying that it's important that you don't take on too much of her things. You can help her, you can be connected, but there's a bit of a message here saying that taking on too much of the responsibility of things that she's responsible for would not be helpful. So that's what I get when I look at your aura.
I'm like flabbergasted because, okay, first of all, I have to say, Matthew doesn't know anything about me. Doesn't know anything about me and my background or anything. Everything you said, everything. And yes, that's my mother. That is my mother who is alive. And we're very close. And I very much take on a lot of I always want to protect her and help her because she runs 2 group homes. I have a special needs sister. We have 10 girls we take care of. My mom takes care of everybody. I worry about her. So yes, that's my mother. Exactly.
That makes sense.
even the ages that you hit were like right on. Like, and
thank you.
and I feel the stagnant energy is leaving. Like that's why I said, like, I feel like new movement coming in. I have been stagnant, and I'm definitely an empath who it manifests in my body. And that's what I've been dealing with for the last 12 months, really. 12 months. It's been a year, almost 13 months. So when you said 14 months and all this, So it's just everything that you said is totally exactly. And by the way, just 2 things. I'm traveling a short trip next week. This week, Disney, but a short trip next week. But I'm going away for a month in June to July. So when you said it's going to be after a trip in August, I'm hoping that my second book will be birthing. You know, I already have it. It's just not completely edited yet, but I already have it. Yeah.
When you mentioned that, all the hair on my both arms just started standing up. So that is definitely the project. And you know what? I know that your first book was a huge hit, but this second one, I think, is going to surpass it substantially. So whatever you've written about, like, there's a lot more to come from that. Like, you know, the book is part of it, but I feel like there's things that come from that book, because I see an image in my mind of like a chalkboard, and I see you standing in front of it. So this is a teacher. This is somebody who is developing courses or classes or something. So I think you're going to take it to like a even bigger level of teaching than what you could realize right now. And there's going to be a really strong connection with England with this, or the UK.
Oh my God, I'm going there. That's where I'm going.
Well, there you go. There you go. So whatever happens there, whatever contacts you make on this trip, like, it's going to be a pretty big deal. I also want to say, if I can give you one more message.
Sure, of course.
So there's a male energy around you that is not somebody who's alive. He's somebody who's passed on. And I feel like he had some issues in his abdominal region at his end of life. So whether that was his cause of death or just things that were going on, I can feel that. And personality-wise, I think that he was somebody that really wished the best for people, but I think his delivery of that might not have been the clearest. And the reason I say that is I feel like he was a genuinely kind person, but I think that he was maybe abrupt in his communication style. And he's really drawing me into like this time of year. So like March or springtime is important to him. So this could be birth, death, something else of significance. And the other weird thing he's showing me is a horse standing behind him. And if I were to interpret that, horses represent, like, you know, trusting the universe and being able to have faith in moving forward and being guided and things like that. And so I think the horse in this sense is symbolic. But whoever this man is, he comes in from your dad's side of the family. And he is bringing you this horse energy to say, like, yes, you are being guided. You are moving in a good direction, the right direction. And the last thing that I get from him is the name Len, or an Len name. So it could be either his name, somebody in spirit, or it could be somebody on earth that you know or that you will meet. When I get names, I never know where to place them, but he is bringing this through for you. I also want to say this is not a recent death. I think this is somebody who passed away quite a long time ago, but he definitely watches over you. For sure.
That's so interesting. The only person I know named Len was one of my dad's best friends who passed away years ago, Lenny, and he had that nature about him. He was very abrupt, but had a good heart, and he was like really close to the family. So he's the only one that I can think of off the top of my head when you said the name. But I'll ask about how he died. You know, the month of spring. Yeah. Like, I'll ask my dad about that and see if he knows anything. I think see if it's him.
I think you totally should, because if it's him, I would also say that's probably a hello to your dad. As well.
Yeah, my dad's struggling right now, so I'll let him know. So that's good. That's good. Oh my God, this is so amazing. I have goosebumps. And just with the book, like you said, there's going to be more to it than just the book. There is. I'm making oracle cards that accompany the book. Yeah, Oracle
And
cards.
I don't even think that's all of it, Melissa. Like, I think that's it's gonna do well as well. But no, this is like, from what I can tell, where this is going to lead you is actually bigger than what you could imagine right now. I think from what I'm feeling, and that UK thing is going to be a really, really big deal. So, it's all of it's good. Your path looks good, and you are, as you said earlier, birthing out of, or you're birthing this new creation. I feel like you are birthing yourself as well out of this stagnant period. And the stagnant period, I think, for you was really, really important. I actually think that it needed to happen so that you could recover a little bit. But those days are coming to an end, and you will feel that exciting creative vibe all over again.
Yay, that's so awesome. So I have to go back and listen to this whole segment again when I could really focus and concentrate. That is so much more. That's such a gift. Thank you. I wasn't expecting all that detail. So for you guys listening, he's amazing, because when I tell you, I mean, I can relate to every single thing that you said. There's a yes on everything. And Matthew and I don't know each other. We've only spoken once. He was referred by another guest I had on, Nicole, months ago. So, so he doesn't know anything about my history or about me personally. So I just want people to know that, because, people get very skeptical, so I want people to... As they should.
As they should. Yeah.
As they should.
I'm actually the same way, believe it or not. I believe that I'm full of crap until the message is validated. So that's often how I feel. So I 100% agree that's actually, I think we all need to be skeptical with things like this.
Yeah, definitely. Now, do you do these kind of things? Are you still doing one-on-ones? Because I know you're doing a lot of teaching, and we're going to come up to a break in just a minute. So I want to delve into some of your courses and what the work that you're doing when we come back. But are you doing these one-on-ones still? Or are you doing them?
Yeah, I do.
Okay, awesome. Good. So for those of you who are interested, if you go to his website, MatthewStapley.com, you can see about booking a session with him, because that was really, really wild. Like, I kept getting goosebumps when you were talking. So I'm going to set us up for our break here, because I want to start getting into some of the psychic experience and what the shift. So let's take our break now, and then we can really delve into that. We won't get interrupted.
Awesome.
All right, stay tuned.
The Real Conscious Connection. OMTimes Radio. IOM FM. OMTimes Magazine is one of the leading online content providers of positivity, wellness, and personal empowerment. A philanthropic organization, their net proceeds are funneled to support worldwide charity initiatives via Humanity Healing International. Through their commitment to creating community and providing conscious content, they aspire to uplift humanity on a global scale. OMTimes. Co-creating a more conscious lifestyle.
Imagine yourself being transported to India, to the banks of the Ganga and an ashram in Rishikesh. Visualize that you are welcome to satsang with an American sannyasi who shares the wisdom of her guru. Your visualization has manifested. Join Sattvi Bhagawati Saraswati for inspiration and transformation every Thursday at 11 a.m. Eastern on OMTimes Radio.
Hi, I'm Melisa Caprio from Postcards to the Universe, creating the life you crave. Do you believe in magic? What if I told you all you had to do was get a little creative and work a dream spell to bring anything you can imagine into your life? Well, guess what? I've got the spell for you. Postcards to the Universe, a global movement for manifestation, is a casting magical tool for you to use whenever you want. How does living in passion sound to you? Join me in my movement where you get to create in the magical playground. Let's think outside the box and do some playful conjuring. By casting out our desires with a manifesting postcard, we explore our hearts and allow the alchemy of our dreams to appear. And don't forget to tune in each week here on OMTimes Radio with my show, Postcards to the Universe, creating the life you crave at 4 p.m. Eastern Time. I share tips on creativity, abundance, and prosperity, and you will be introduced to the coolest guests, trailblazers, mystics, and creatives who enrich our lives.
Coping 19, brought to you by CDC and the Ad Council.
If you're feeling increasingly lonely right now, you're not alone. It's totally normal. Even though we may not be able to get together in person, connecting virtually with friends and family still gives you a chance to interact with people and may help raise your spirits. Join a virtual book club, set up group text chats, or online video coffee breaks with coworkers.
Find more self-care and coping tips at coping-19.org.
Welcome back. So, Matthew, before the show, I looked at it earlier, but I also re-looked at it before the show today, and it tells you your areas of expertise on your website. So you have psychic and mediumship development, spirit communication, spirituality, and transpersonal exploration, grief and bereavement, public speaking, holistic health, spiritualist, and interfaith ministry. So is there something that jumps out at you that you want to share with us from those areas?
Sure. Yeah. I think the psychic and mediumship development part, because I love teaching people, and I love helping them to develop their own abilities. And I really think that and I really, think and believe and know kind of across the board that everybody is gifted. Everybody is connected to the universe. And I think that every cell within our body is having a constant, subtle conversation with the world around us. And so teaching people how to access that on purpose is one of my biggest passions in life, because they always surprise themselves. And I just love seeing that look of, oh my God, I did it on their face when they're, in class and they came in and they didn't, had never even touched a tarot card in their entire life. And all of a sudden they're giving messages with no tools and able to, help connect people with support in the universe. And I love that.
Is that what the psychic experience is? Is that what that you created?
Actually, the psychic experience was something, it's actually a past project, but the psychic experience was a public speaking tour kind of thing that I did a long time ago. But it was actually what really got me started in really getting out there more. And it was a lot of fun.
Okay. Yeah, that sounds really cool. So, so you teach. So because you said this earlier in the show, you said some people, it gets turned on very early, the psychic abilities, like for you, for example, and others like you. But for others, you're saying that we could learn how to tap into that on our own. We just need the tools to learn how to do that and practice, correct?
Yeah, exactly, because everyone's already receiving. And so it's just a matter of figuring out like how to do it consciously. And when I teach, Spirit guides me in teaching each person. So even though the class size is, there's a decent number of people, but me and my teaching assistants, we work one-on-one with people throughout the course. So they're getting, the bit of theory at the beginning of each class, and then they're in breakout rooms because it's all done online. So they're in breakout rooms doing their practice sessions. And then while that's happening, at any time that they get stuck or they feel blocked or they feel like they don't know what to do or whatever, they just call one of us and we go in there and we help them to unblock it, to look at it in a different way or whatever. There was one student I had years ago, and she would try and do reading, and she would say, every time I try to do reading, I just see in my mind people from work. And I said, well, what do you know about the people from work? Like, what qualities immediately jump out? And so she started using that almost the way somebody would use tarot cards, because the qualities that she thought of first when she was doing a reading for somebody, when she thought of this person from work and what she knew to be true about them, it was very pertinent to the person that was sitting in front of her receiving the reading. So it was just helping her to look at it as a symbolism rather than some kind of a blockage. And so when I'm teaching people how to develop their ability, I really show them how to use the reference points that they already have within themselves to bring through a message, because Spirit and the spirit world and our guides and loved ones and everybody, they will use the information that we already have within us to create a message within our clair abilities. So a lot of development is showing people how to do that.
That's really interesting. So that's how it showed up for her, because that she would be able to recognize it. That's really, really interesting. Now you have a class coming up, right? Next month.
I do, yeah.
Psychic. And when does that start, and how does it work?
Sure. So that one starts on April 24th at 1 p.m. Eastern Time. Okay. And it will be taught through Zoom. And it goes for 6 weeks. So it's 6 Sundays in a row. Yeah, I'm really, really, really stoked about it, actually, because this is my favorite course to teach. And then the next one that I have after that is one in advanced evidence. So to me, so what that one is about is showing people how to get really detailed information in all different ways. So whether they're, a medium wanting to bring in more detail from the spirit world, evidential information from the spirit world, they'll develop that. If they're working more in psychic reading, then they'll bring through more detailed information and evidential information through their psychic reading. But in order to take that advanced one, people have to take the 6-week courses first. Yeah.
Yeah, sure. That makes sense. It's like, you can't just jump into algebra if you don't know how to do multiplication, right? You got to And then you also have I don't know if you have dates yet for, the advanced course for anybody who's already taken the course is in June. It looks like June 5th. And then you also do an Art of Tarot. Is it tarot? Tarot? It's tarot. I never know how to say it. Tarot. So you have that also that you teach, but do you have any idea are you going to do that again this year in 2022?
I'm thinking about it in the fall. I'm getting a lot of requests for tarot courses. And so I have a course. I just have to find the time to teach it. But yeah, I am hoping to do that maybe in the fall.
Oh, very cool. Yeah, because that's super interesting. I don't know how to read tarot. Tarot? I'm just going to say it however I say it.
People say it both ways. So I think as long as you don't say tarot, we're good.
Okay. Yeah, I don't know anything about, I know a little bit about them from just having others, read them and stuff around me or for me. But I did take a course and I learned how to read the Lenormand cards, which I find very interesting. Yeah, very interesting. And I think that I think it was you and I who talked about the Gypsy deck that I have, that you have, that nobody
the
has.
Russian Gypsy.
Yes, the Russian Gypsy.
You're the only other person I know that has a copy of it.
My sister reads them, I swear, I think 3 times a week. She's always reading them.
They're amazing. They're so cool.
They are cool. So share a little bit about some spirit communication, because I noticed more and more people are becoming very open to the idea of connecting with others who have passed on. So can you share, without giving away anything personal, some kind of the spirit communication that you've had with some of your clients?
Yeah, sure. Some of it's been crazy. Actually, do you know what the craziest ones are, in my mind, are on Monday nights when I do my live readings. And for me, the reason they're crazy is, so if you can imagine, if I'm reading for one person, they may know one person who died from, I don't know, a heart attack, and it happened in a certain month, and, their name was a certain name. That will only fit, right? One person that the person knows that I'm sitting across from usually. But on a live reading, when there's, hundreds of people watching, then that information, Spirit has to bring it through so specifically to get it to the right person. So to me, in a reading, the amount of detail will always be as much detail as is required for the person to know who it is, and also, or be able to validate it. And also the amount of detail is relative to how much the person needs it in order to heal or whatever. So on a Monday night, when there's, between 300 and 700 people watching live, the level of detail needs to be really detailed. And so when it comes through, some of those messages, honestly, Melissa, they freaked me out, because afterwards, when they get validated, I'm like, oh my God, I did not think it was possible to get that. For example, one time, somebody's loved one's address came through in one of the live readings, the number of the house and the name of the street. And that in that moment, I was like, "There's no way! Like, I've got to be making this up on some level."
Right.
Even though I felt like I was connected and tuned in, I was like, "There's no way." And then, sure enough, like I got a message saying that was for me, and that address is accurate. So that was one, and then the other ones with those, and that was somebody's loved ones, but the other ones with those that I think are cool are when somebody's spirit guide comes in, because spirit guides, it's kind of like hard to validate who they were because they're not our loved ones. And so it would be easy to be like, like Brunhilde from England, died in 1712 at 2 years old. Like it's not validatable. And I'm a stickler on validation. I want people to be able to really, if they're going to claim a message, to really claim it. And so when a spirit guide comes through, they do it differently in a live reading, and they will put me in the person who's receiving the message's shoes, and they'll show me what their environment looks like, what they're doing, the furniture around them, like the setup of the space that they're sitting in, if there's other people and what they look like or their ages. And so it's kind of like a remote viewing experience. And those ones are some of my favorite ones because it's just kind of cool, at least in my mind. And it feels like I'm actually sitting in someone's living room with them, right? And so I like that because I'm a people person.
That is really, really cool. And, I truly believe as we evolve on our consciousness, we're going to be connecting on such levels that we can't even imagine without maybe even speaking to each other. I mean, I doubt it'll be in my lifetime or maybe even my next lifetime, but I feel like it's eventually going to get to that point. So what you're talking about, so Matthew has a Facebook, is it a group? Is it a page?
It's a page, yeah.
Okay, so you can go to his page, which you can find on it. What's your Facebook page name? I know you can find it on your website, but you can.
Yeah, it's just my name. It's my name, Matthew Stapley, but it's also facebook.com/Canadian Psychic.
Oh, okay. Okay, perfect. So on Mondays at 7 p.m. Eastern Time, Matthew does live readings. And I've witnessed a couple of them. In fact, one I was on, and the light behind you kept flashing on and off. The one
I think that's just an electrical problem, to be honest. It's doing it right now. I'm looking over at it, and it's still blinking. So
everybody was like, do you realize the light behind you is blinking on and off? I was like, oh my God, that's wild. I feel like
that's a wiring problem.
Oh, okay. Well, yeah, but they're really, really interesting. And you just, wherever you're guided. So it's not, you may get lucky and you may get picked because he may be guided towards, you, because people write questions, right? And you'll just kind of look and you get a hit like, oh, I really need to mention this person or this. And do this, right?
I call it a friend crush. Yeah. It's like when you're at a party and you see a stranger across the room and you're like, I don't know them, but I want to know them. And that's kind of the vibe that I get in the chat. I'm like, I don't know who this person is, but I'm really drawn to like wanting to talk to them.
Yeah, no, that's really, really good. And like I said, I've watched a couple of them, and you get a lot of people asking a lot of stuff. There's a lot of people that really need guidance. I like to go through the questions and see what people are asking. I was like, wow, there's a lot. And there's a lot of people that are suffering and that need, some healing. Because I also know that you do holistic healing. So can you share a little bit about your holistic healing?
Sure, yeah. So it's something that I do. I've taught classes in hands-on healing, distance healing. I don't do healing work anymore, but I do bring it through in my readings for people, whether they be one-on-one or group or whatever. And so sometimes when I'm reading for people, I can feel spirit connecting with them at a personal, direct from spirit to them level. And so part of what I do is facilitating, and it's always my intention to facilitate a healing experience. So I'm doing messages, but also asking, their guides and everybody in spirit to hold space and send healing to them directly. So that's part of the holistic healing side of things.
That's really cool. Yeah. Yeah, you're like so tapped in. You're like so like like you could just like tap right in to that alternative universe. I always call it like the alternative universe. Like I always imagine like a door I could just step through, and and there's like this whole other world that's open that we don't even know really all the possibilities. God, I can't even believe it. We only have like a couple of minutes left. So is there anything that you want to really share with us before you leave? Anything we didn't get to cover or talk about?
Sure. I mean, I think the only thing that I would want to talk about is because the world is starting up again, everything's is starting to move forward, as you said as well. There's a big increase in energy. I hope people will be kind to themselves and each other, because I feel like anytime that energy begins to pick up and shift, it's kind of like, making soup, right? You have to turn the water up. It has to boil. The ingredients have to break down and blend together. And I think that's been happening over the last few months in our world. And I think the one thing I would love to leave everybody with is just being that it's okay to be patient with yourself. It's okay to not have it all figured out instantly, that we're all constantly in our own process and we're all unfolding, and we just need to be kind to ourselves and each other, even when it's hard. That would probably be the one thing that I would love to leave, that we didn't really go into.
Yeah, that's a great way to wrap things up. Yes, as everybody's going back out into the world and traveling, be kind. I mean, truthfully, Florida was only closed for 3 months, and then everybody was here, and it was all open. So nobody followed any rules here. So I kind of feel like we've been open the whole time, but for everybody else.
Canada, not so much.
Yeah, like go out and be kind. Well, I am so grateful that you came on my show today. I had so much fun with you. I have to have you back. It was just
I would love to come back.
I mean, it was so amazing, and thank you for the gift of my little reading. I cherish it. I'm going to listen to it. I'm going to listen to it again later. Okay, guys, check out Matthew Stapley on his website, MatthewStapley.com, and go to Facebook, and maybe you'll get lucky and get a reading. Thanks for listening to Postcards to the Universe with Melisa, creating the life you crave. And I'm wishing everyone a wonderful week filled with joy, abundance, and love. Peace.